Welcome to MidEast in Depth, part of Levant TV's press reviews. William Booth and Ruth Eglash write an article in the Washington Post which looks at possible repercussions after the violence in Jerusalem. One day after a pair of Palestinian assailants wielding meat cleavers and a gun killed 5 Israelis, including a prominent American-Israeli rabbi, in a Jerusalem synagogue, the threat, perhaps more accurately the dread, of an incipient but deadly religious war was expressed by Muslim clerics, Christian leaders and Jewish Israelis. For weeks, Jerusalem has been a center of clashes, protests and deadly attacks that began over one of the city's major flashpoints, a contested religious site known to Muslims as the Noble Sanctuary and to Jews as the Temple Mount. Jewish activists have been pressing the Israeli government to insist that Jews be allowed to pray on the raised esplanade, which also harbors the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest site in Islam. Economy Minister Naftali Bennett called on the government to launch a military operation to go to the source of terror in the Holy City. He said, "We need to move from defense to attack, like we did in Operation Defensive Shield," citing the name for the military campaign waged during the Second Palestinian Intifada more than a decade ago. And while alert is perhaps at its highest in Jerusalem, Beirut-based Al-Akhbar newspaper ironically features reports from Israeli media that 250,000 Arabs and Muslims visited Israel since 2009. The warm relations between Israel and some Arab and Muslim countries, against the backdrop of a common threat from Iran, is starting to bear fruits from Israel's tourism sector, in addition to other benefits for the self-proclaimed Jewish state. Israeli One I-24 news channel revealed in a report about Arab tourism in Tel Aviv. The channel reported that the tourism sector in occupied Palestine in the past 6 years witnessed a noticeable increased number of tourists coming from Muslim and Arab countries that do not have diplomatic ties with Israel. Figures revealed by the channel show that since 2009, the number of Muslims and Arab tourists who secretly visited occupied Palestine from these countries exceeds 250,000. The data amassed by the channel reveals that 124,000 tourists visited occupied Palestine from Indonesia, 81,000 from Jordan, 23,000 from Malaysia. But previously unknown data showed the arrival of 38 tourists from Saudi Arabia, 168 from the UAE, and 147 from Qatar and Oman. The report also mentioned tourists coming from Israel from Morocco. The number of Moroccan tourists visiting occupied Palestine during the same period was 2,239, compared to 658 tourists in 2009. The channel pointed out that Kuwait announced last month that it is going to allow its citizens to visit the Palestinian Authority territories and occupied Palestine as part of a tourism package with the approval of the Israeli authorities. Kuwaiti tourists are expected to fly from Kuwait to Jordan. From there, they would take the bus to occupied Jerusalem. That was it for today's articles. For more updates, please visit us on levant.tv. You could also subscribe to MidEast in Depth on iTunes. Thanks for watching and bye for now.